new episodes of The View when she tries to pull the race card.
Yes.
And then she's like, America is racist. And then they're like, yeah, they might be racist, but they're not like slave owner racist. like somebody that we...
That's so true.
Yeah.
One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any is she said, well, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
She should have followed that up with saying something along the lines of, and I understand that that's a departure from the way I've talked about this before.
Greg Gutfeld's punchline landed perfectly, sending the room into laughter. But he wasn't just there for jokes. He saw an opportunity to call out hypocrisy. For years, The View's Sunny Hostin has held others accountable for their ancestral histories, often tying it to systemic oppression and historical responsibility. Yet, when confronted with troubling details about her own lineage, she brushed it off as just another fact of life. Gutfeld wasn't about to let that slide. He highlighted how this kind of selective outrage exposes the flaws of identity politics, especially when someone's narrative doesn't align with their personal reality. According to him, Hostin's moral high ground had just crumbled, proving that conversations about race and history require more self-awareness and nuance. By spotlighting the contradiction, Gutfeld made a broader argument. If you demand accountability from others, you should be just as willing to face the same scrutiny yourself.
Funny, she's so wrapped up in identity and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them?
Gutfeld argued that reducing complex issues to identity-based talking points often leads activists like Sunny Hostin to overlook inconvenient truths, including their own contradictions. The real irony, he pointed out, wasn't just that Hostin's ancestors were involved in a system she actively condemns, but that she refused to reflect on it. Instead of acknowledging the contradiction, she downplayed its significance, sidestepping any deeper discussion. For Gutfeld, this wasn't just about hosting. It was a broader lesson on how personal accountability often takes a backseat to performative outrage. His commentary struck a chord, offering a stark example of what happens when moral superiority clashes with uncomfortable truths. The internet erupted in response. Social media was flooded with memes and sharp humor, including a viral post reading, "Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick." While some defended Hostin, arguing she shouldn't be blamed for her ancestors' actions, others pointed out her glaring double standard.
In her defense, everyone has ancestors that did unspeakably horrible things. It's just that not everyone's ancestors have records tied to their DNA about it. Worried for Sunny Hostin's progeny in the future that do a DNA test and find out that they were related to a cast member of The View. And they're like, oh, it all makes so much sense now. Why I'm so stupid and fat.
The revelation about Sunny Hostin's ancestry sparked a heated debate. Should public figures be held to the same moral standards they impose on others? Critics argued that her response lacked the reflection and growth expected from someone with such a prominent platform. Instead of using the moment for self-examination, her dismissive reaction shifted the conversation from meaningful discussion to accusations of hypocrisy. What could have been a nuanced conversation on ancestry and accountability became yet another debate over who is truly morally responsible. Then came the awkward fallout on The View. The moment news broke about Hostin's ancestors being slave owners, the show's lively atmosphere vanished into tense silence. Even Whoopi Goldberg, known for her quick wit, seemed uncertain about how to handle the irony. On Gutfeld, however, the mood was entirely different. His co-hosts didn't hold back, throwing sharp jabs and playful barbs. One even joked that Hostin might need to start shaming herself. Their laughter underscored the irony, further exposing cracks in her moral foundation. Even Rosie O'Donnell weighed in, offering a more thoughtful take on the controversy.
Guess there's nothing worse than to find out you're a white woman.
She's so disappointed.
It's really disappointing.
Her mother was white.
Oh my
The
God.
shame.
Oh my God.
The horror. History, and finds out that this is fantastic. She is descended from slaveholders. She's descended from slaveholders, and she's been apparently getting a lot of mail about her call for reparations because it turns out she's going to be paying them and not actually receiving.
Rosie O'Donnell offered a more measured perspective, arguing that people should be judged by their actions, not their ancestry. She cautioned against oversimplifying complex issues like race and history, highlighting how such revelations can challenge rigid narratives and prompt necessary self-reflection. The reaction to Sunny Hostin's response revealed a sharp divide. Some saw it as an opportunity for personal accountability, while others viewed it as another case of identity politics backfiring. Regardless of perspective, the tension surrounding her reaction was undeniable. What could have been a moment of growth instead became a debate over her perceived hypocrisy and reluctance to confront her own past. This story serves as a reminder that no one's history is without complexity. It raises an important question. If you demand accountability from others, shouldn't you hold yourself to the same standard? How Hostin chooses to navigate this controversy will ultimately shape her legacy.
Her legacy. Search out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sonny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah.
While Sunny Hostin's personal life took another controversial turn, this time involving her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, who is at the center of a massive legal storm. The allegations? Insurance fraud, illegal kickbacks, and a staggering 180-defendant RICO lawsuit. This isn't just a legal dispute, it's a high-stakes scandal with the potential to rock the medical world. At the heart of the lawsuit is an alleged scheme in which Dr. Rian, Hostin, and others exploited the healthcare system for profit. The accusations include accepting bribes to perform unnecessary surgeries and submitting fraudulent insurance claims for procedures that may never have happened. Imagine patients being placed under anesthesia for operations they didn't need, while insurance companies unknowingly footed the bill. If these claims are proven true, this could become one of the most shocking medical fraud cases in recent history, one that could have lasting consequences for both the healthcare industry and the Hostin family.
History.
Citizen that has a policy. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate misinformation?
They have.
And that's
Dr. Emmanuel Hostin's lawyer, Daniel T., has fired back, calling the lawsuit baseless, accusing the insurance company of using it as a smokescreen to hide its own financial troubles. The legal battle is only escalating, but what makes this story truly explosive is its direct connection to Sunny Hostin. Reports suggest Sunny may have been fully aware of her husband's questionable dealings, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the media. Enter Joe Rogan. The podcast mogul wasted no time calling out what he saw as hypocrisy, pointing to how Sunny frequently criticizes others for their medical opinions, yet never addressed the possibility that she knew about her husband's alleged fraud. Rogan's remarks only added fuel to the fire, casting a shadow over Sunny's credibility. Now, she's not just facing criticism over identity politics. She's caught in a scandal that threatens her carefully curated public image. Whether she speaks out or remains silent, this controversy will shape how the public sees her. But just as one storm brews, another takes center stage. This time, it's country star Carrie Underwood, whose decision to perform at the presidential inauguration has ignited a whole new debate.
Understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon.
Country music superstar Carrie Underwood, known for her pure talent and drama-free career, suddenly found herself in the crosshairs of cancel culture. What should have been a proud moment, a chance to celebrate her country, quickly turned into a firestorm of backlash. Critics wasted no time branding her a supporter of a convicted felon simply for agreeing to perform. But here's the twist. The outrage wasn't about her music or talent. It was about what her performance symbolized. For many, political bias overshadowed their admiration for her as an artist. turning a simple act of patriotism into a polarizing controversy.
Country superstar Carrie Underwood has spent most of her career avoiding political talk, but she's set to perform at the upcoming inauguration. She said in a statement that she's doing it because the country must come together in the spirit of unity and look to the future. And lots of her fans aren't thrilled about it, but lots of her fans are. So let's put this in perspective here. What do y'all think?
I personally hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows.
Right.
But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning, so she's overnight going to become an icon of MAGA and the American right. She's probably going to make a lot of money off of it. So I get why she did it.
Despite the backlash, Carrie Underwood didn't waver. Instead, she stood firm, earning newfound respect from supporters who admired her courage. While some of her fellow country stars stayed silent, fearful of backlash or lost endorsements, Carrie stood tall. The View wasted no time jumping into the controversy, accusing Carrie of normalizing a convicted felon simply for singing America the Beautiful. Yet, as of now, no felony conviction exists, only outrage. The hypocrisy was impossible to ignore, especially when her performance was nothing more than an act of patriotism. Carrie's story is a textbook example of how cancel culture often becomes a game of contradictions. In the end, the outrage faded, but her career remained unshaken. Her albums still top the charts, her concerts are packed, and while critics moved on to their next target, Carrie proved that staying true to yourself is the key to a lasting legacy.